Keely Hodgkinson, 24 years old, British track's biggest star, and she's about to make history again. But this time, it's different. This time, she carries an entire nation on her shoulders. March 2026, World Indoor Championships, Poland. The pressure will be unlike anything she's experienced. Keely Hodgkinson was supposed to be a great British athlete. That was the narrative 5 years ago. A talented runner from Stockport with potential. Someone who might win a major championship someday. Instead, she became something far more significant. She became the athlete who changed how the world views middle-distance running. She became the face of British athletics in an era when track and field was struggling for mainstream relevance. She became the proof that British athletes could compete at the absolute highest level against the world's elite. At the Paris Olympics 2024, she won gold. Not just any gold medal. An Olympic gold medal in one of track and field's signature events, the 800 meters. She didn't stumble into that victory. She executed perfectly when the stakes were highest. She delivered when the world was watching. She became an Olympic champion at age 23. The victory changed her trajectory. Suddenly, she was more than an athlete. She was a symbol of British sporting excellence. She was mainstream news. She was recognized beyond the track and field community. She was famous, but success can trap athletes. The tendency after winning an Olympic gold medal is to settle, to rest on that achievement, to become satisfied with the greatest moment of an athletic career. Hodgkinson refused that trap. The 2026 indoor season arrived, and Hodgkinson entered it with a completely different mindset than most Olympic champions would. Instead of management mode, she switched to conquest mode. She identified a target, a world record that had been set decades earlier, a mark that many thought was untouchable. She decided that mark would be hers. The pursuit of this record was not casual. It was strategic. It was methodical. She trained with precision. She prepared with focus. Every session served a purpose. Every rep contributed to one singular goal: become the fastest woman ever in the indoor 800 meters. On February 19th, she lined up at a World Athletics Indoor Tour Gold meet in Liévin, France, and executed one of the greatest middle-distance running performances ever recorded. The time, 1 minute, 54.87 seconds. She had done it. The world record was hers, but more importantly, she had done it by nearly 1 full second, a margin of improvement that is almost never seen in elite middle-distance running. She hadn't just broken the record, she had obliterated it. She had announced to the world that she was operating on a different level entirely. What happened after was more revealing than the record itself. She didn't celebrate excessively. She didn't declare her mission accomplished. She didn't take time off to reflect on her achievement. Instead, she immediately refocused. The World Indoor Championships were coming in 4 weeks. The record was the foundation. The championships would be the test. Few athletes possess the capacity to be excellent across multiple distances. Most specialists dominate a single event and fade at other distances. Hodgkinson refused that limitation. During the 2026 indoor season, she worked on her speed. She ran personal bests in the 400 meters, an event 200 meters shorter than her specialty. She set a British indoor record in the 800 at 1 minute, 56.33 seconds, well ahead of the pace she would run in the record-breaking performance. This was not a distraction. This was a calculated training strategy. By developing explosive speed at shorter distances, she was strengthening the absolute power that makes her dangerous in the 800. She was training like someone preparing for war, not someone maintaining fitness. Her competitors and coaches understood exactly what was happening. She was building toward a championship performance the way elite athletes rarely do, with complete intentionality and precision. In March 2026, Great Britain would send a full squad of 29 athletes to Toruń, Poland for the World Athletics Indoor Championships. It would be a significant team. Multiple athletes would compete. Multiple medals were possible, but everyone understood the reality. This was Keely Hodgkinson's championships to win or lose. The other 28 British athletes would compete with pride and purpose. They would aim for medals, national records, and personal bests. But the nation's focus, the media attention, the expectations of millions were concentrated entirely on one runner in one race. This is the dynamic that separates elite athletes from ordinary ones. Not just the ability to win, but the capacity to carry the hopes and expectations of an entire nation without being crushed by the weight of it. Toruń, Poland would host the 2026 World Athletics Indoor Championships. The city would become the center of the global track and field universe for 1 week. The world's fastest sprinters, the world's best jumpers, the world's elite middle-distance runners would all converge on one track. For Keely Hodgkinson, this was the next mountain to climb. The record was impressive, but an Olympic title is historic. A world record is extraordinary. A World Indoor Championship title, however, is the rarest combination of all three. It proves you can execute at the highest level under championship pressure on the biggest stage. She entered Poland as the defending Olympic champion. She entered as the world record holder. She entered as the fastest woman ever in the indoor 800 meters. She entered with momentum that few athletes ever possess. But momentum is not a guarantee. In track and field, any athlete can have an off day. The margin between gold and silver is often measured in hundredths of a second. The unknown is always present. The possibility of upset always exists, no matter how dominant an athlete's form. The global track and field community had reached a consensus. Keely Hodgkinson was the favorite for the 800 meters gold medal at the World Indoor Championships. The bookmakers agreed. The analysts agreed. The other competitors acknowledged it through their words and their preparation. This created an interesting dynamic. In some sports, being the favorite is straightforward. You're expected to win, and you win. But in track and field, being the overwhelming favorite can create unusual pressure. There's nowhere to hide if you underperform. There's no excuse for a disappointing result. She would be racing against elite athletes from around the world. Some would be veterans seeking a breakthrough championship performance. Some would be younger competitors hungry for their first major title. Some would be athletes who had nothing to lose and everything to gain from an upset. For Hodgkinson, the challenge was not just physical, it was mental. It was about executing under extraordinary pressure, about delivering when the entire sporting world was watching, about converting opportunity into reality. Track and field has a complicated history in Britain. The nation produced great runners in previous generations. But in recent years, the sport has struggled for mainstream recognition. Sprinting has been dominated by other nations. Middle-distance running has been scattered across multiple countries. Then Keely Hodgkinson arrived on the Olympic stage and changed the narrative entirely. Suddenly, British middle-distance running meant something. Suddenly, a British athlete could win the biggest events on the planet. The 2026 World Indoor Championships in Poland represented a continuation of that narrative. Could she become the first British athlete in recent memory to win a world indoor title at the highest level? Could she become part of a new generation of British champions? The answer mattered for reasons beyond individual achievement. It mattered for the sport. It mattered for British athletics. It mattered for a generation of young runners who were watching to see if they could follow in her footsteps.